message is entitled, Don't Seek Wealth, Seek God. I think, who among us doesn't want to succeed in life, right? Who among us doesn't want to be rich and successful? Maybe as a young kid, you have your dreams and aspirations in life on what you want to become. And the career path that you choose is just a means to an end. The end is to be successful. The end is to be happy. And at least in my neck of the woods, I grew up in a family of business. My father was a businessman, so in my career path seems to be on the business side. And the intent of entering business is so that one day I'll be successful and reap the reward of that success. For some people, they're willing to do illegal things, illicit things, just to reach their dreams. And once they reach that dream, guess what? They don't want to let go. They just want to stay there with all the wealth and all the power. That's why we have political dynasty. These politicians, once they try it, they don't want to leave. And from the husband to the wife, then back to the husband, then eventually, while waiting for the son to graduate, then pass it to the son. Why? They want to be, well, sad, no? For a congressman, you want to be wealthy. But technically, you can't be wealthy being a congressman. How can you be wealthy? The salary is so low, what, 40,000? How can you be wealthy with that? How can you even buy a car with that? Well, look ahead, look about 80,000. How can you have that lifestyle? And for some businessmen, they're willing to exploit people, abuse, coerce, and in some cases, kill. You know, I was just watching, Desena, what's her name again? The girlfriend of Ipek before, Christina Desena. I see her here every so often. I saw in a YouTube news channel, ABS-CBN, she was ambushed. Then the driver was able to reverse the car and bump the cars that was shooting her, and yet the guys was the assassins was able to survive the motorcycle crash and were still shooting at the car. So during the interview, they were asking what could be the motive. She said business. Some people are really willing to kill. Why? Because they're afraid to lose the wealth, to lose the power. In the corporate world, that's translated to what? Backbiting, blackmail, backstabbing, white paper galore, just to advance one's career. The one that has the most gold wins. That's the golden rule. The one who has the gold makes the rule. That's the real golden rule. And we think success and wealth is within our hands. We think we really can control things. That we can manipulate people so that our ends are met. In some cases, we might not admit it, we're trying to act like God. Trying to determine how our life should be. And no matter what, I will get it. No matter what it takes, I will get my dreams. Today's passage, we are reminded that the blessings really comes from the Lord. No amount of effort will thwart His plans. If God has decided to bless you, No man can stop that. Proverbs 10:22 says, "It is the blessing of the Lord that makes rich." Not smart. You know, in the past, as a young kid, I started business at a young age. My sister would know that. And you know, as a young kid, relatively, as a kid, I was kind of okay, successful as a kid, as a businessman. But you know, honestly, I'm not naman smart. In fact, I always fail. But whatever business I was entering before, I really kind of excel. And I know it's not me because I'm not really smart. I just try something. And the Bible is clear. It is the blessings of the Lord that makes rich and poor. Doesn't matter. Kasi sometimes we think our life is all about, will I be rich or will I be poor in this life? If I'm rich, then my life is good. My life is successful. If I'm poor, then my life is bad. My life is unsuccessful. We define life as such. But in reality, life is not about being rich and poor. Life is about serving God. Really. All of this, I was just reading, I heard of this man who won the lotto. Great news, di ba? He won the lotto. I was telling my kids, there's this clip about some of the great, biggest lotto winner in America. And we know this, right? Most of them, after 2 to 3 years, they lose everything. There's this one guy, he won $40 million. I was telling my kids, $40 million. You know what he did? He donated it all to charity. Huh? I was surprised. And he said, honestly, I have a little savings. I can get by. To find out, the man was a billionaire pala. How lucky can you be? He's like worth 1.1 billion. When he won, he doesn't want to tell the kids that he's gonna donate it. When the kids found out, they said, Dad, it's okay. It's fine. They're rich pala. But this other millionaire who won, he committed suicide. We know all the stories of rich people committing suicide because of despite their wealth. Here in the passage today, in Genesis chapter 30, we continually see the story of Jacob and Laban. Remember, Laban tried to deceive Jacob. And he continues to enslave him after 14 years. For some reason, he was able to keep Jacob under his possession. 14 years, that's long. Why? Because the first wife, diba? Leah, 7 years. She was supposed to get Rachel. Then, after that, another 7 years for Rachel. Last night I saw my classmates and I asked him, how are you now? Blah, blah. And he told me, after college, it took him 11 years to finish college. After college, he had to finish college because he's about to get married. So nakakaya naman to my in-laws. I'm not a college graduate, so he went back to school, got his diploma. And eventually, the father owns like a factory, the father-in-law. And what happened there was, the manager died of the factory. And the father-in-law spoke to him. His name is David. Oh, David, do you mind become the manager while we search for the new manager? He said, no problem, Dad. I'll stay there. Not knowing that the manager that they were waiting for was still in high school, the son. He told me that. But I never realized it was my brother-in-law who was still in high school at that time. So he had to wait 9 years. when when the son graduated, his brother-in-law, this is kind of similar. 14 years. He was enslaved. And it's only after having birth with Rachel that he decided to go home to the promised land. The thing is, God didn't want Jacob to go back to the promised land empty-handed. In Genesis chapter 28, God made about 4 promises. I will be with you. I will bless you with many descendants. I will bless you and you will have this land. We've seen that God fulfilling 2, in the sense that He was with him always, and secondly, He has given him descendants. 12 at the moment. And now Jacob wants to go home to the promised land, which God has promised. One thing's for sure. The moment God tells us something, mark my word, it will happen. It's just a matter of time. Success is given to us. It's just a matter of time. Isaiah 14 verse 27 says, "For the Lord of hosts has planned, and who can frustrate it? And as for His outstretched arm, who can turn it back?" In chapter 55 verse 11, "So will my word be which goes forth from my mouth. It will not return to me empty." The moment God speaks something, it will happen. It will definitely happen. So all the promises that God gave to Jacob is good as done. It's just a matter of time that Jacob will experience that reward. So go now to Genesis chapter 30. We read verse 25. "Now it came about when Rachel had borne Joseph that Jacob said to Laban, 'Send me away that I may go to my own place and to my own country.' Alas, the first love of Jacob, Rachel, gives birth. That is now the turning point. It's no coincidence that after Rachel gives birth, that Jacob wants to go home. You know why? Because if Jacob went home without Rachel having given birth yet, she could be discarded. She could be demoted. It will be very risky for Rachel. Her only protection right now is because she was living with his dad yet, Laban. But the moment she leaves that and she has no child, she's a second-class citizen. And for Jacob to protect Rachel, it was important for Rachel to have a child. That's why the moment that Rachel bore a child, Joseph, Jacob said, "Okay, let's go home now. Now you're protected. The one that I really love is now protected. Because she has a child. We can now go home." So he asked, "Send me away. Let me go." Now typically, a master would give his slave some supplies, some stock, some grain, some wine for a head start. And you would expect this of any master. But not Laban. Right? Jacob now is yearning to go home. Tells his master, "Master, I want to go home now." Verse 26. He asked Laban, "Give me my wives and my children from whom I have served you, and let me depart. For you yourself know my service, which I have rendered to you." Jacob, interestingly, is asking for his wife and children from Laban. If you go to Genesis chapter 31, please. One chapter ahead. Genesis 31 verse 43 says, and Laban is speaking here, the daughters are my daughters, and the children are my children, and the flocks are my flocks, and all that you see is mine. But what can I do to this day to this my daughters and or to their children whom they have borne? What does it say? Laban considers his kids his possession. His grandkids his possession. That's why Jacob is asking permission. Give me my wife. And Laban says here what? They're my daughters. They're my children. If a slave wants to leave his master, and he leaves his master after serving him less than 6 years, he's not allowed to take his wife and children. The master will keep it. But after 6 years of service, if the slave is able to leave already, only then can he take his wife and children. And if he does not want to leave his wife and children, he still has to remain a slave. And that's hard for the father, right? I'll probably remain a slave. But that's only 6 years of service. Here, he has served 14 years. Yet, despite that, Laban still has a stronghold on Jacob. He's so entrenched. He's saying, no, no, no. They're still my daughters. They're my children. I still own them. Verse 27. But Laban said to him, if now it pleases you, stay with me. I have divined that the Lord has blessed me on account of you. What sleazy guy? Can you see what Laban is doing here? He was trying to twist the motives and the intent of Jacob. Jacob wanted to leave. And what does he say? If it pleases you, stay with me. It does not please Jacob. In fact, it displeases him staying with Laban. As if the wording is as if Jacob intended to stay. If it pleases you, stay with me. As if Laban was doing Jacob a favor. I mean, the first 7 years was a breeze. But the second 7 years was pure hardship. Why do I want to stay with you? But he's trying to play. I'm doing you a favor in case you want to stay here pa. It's okay. But I just said, I want to leave now. Give him my kids. Go again to Genesis 31. Look at how Laban treated Jacob. Genesis 31, verse 38 to 42. Genesis 31, verse 38 to 42. It says, this 20 years I have been with you. This is after serving again. Your ewes and your female goats have no miscarriage, nor have I eaten the ram of your flock. That which was torn of beasts, I did not bring to you. I bore the loss of it myself. You required it of my hand, whether stolen by day or stolen by night. If there's a flock that got stolen, hey, Jacob, pay for it. It's what? Oh, pay for it. Pay for it. Right? Thus I was by the day, the heat consumed me, and the frost by night, and my sleep fled from my eyes. Because, people are stealing my flock. I really have to watch it because whenever one gets lost, you tell me to pay for it. This 20 years I have been in your house. I've served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flock. And you changed my wage 10 times. Today, 100. Tomorrow, 50. Next day, 80. What? Whatever pleases you, it's whimsical. I mean, who would like that? They change your salary 10 times. 42. If the God of my father, the God of Abraham, the fear of Isaac, has not been for me, surely now you would have sent me away empty-handed. Even after 20 years of serving you, you would let me leave with nothing at all. God has seen my affliction and the toil of my hand, so He rendered judgment last night. That's why, no wonder, the moment Rachel gave birth, I want to go out. What a terrible father-in-law. What a terrible boss. He abused me. He used me. He enslaved me. For 20 years. But Laban has no intent of letting such valuable asset go away. I mean, I got blessed because of you. You're my star employee. Why would I let you go? So Laban is trying to thwart. He's trying to manipulate. He's trying to say to Jacob, I'm doing you a favor. If you want to stay here, it's okay. I mean, who among us would want to stay there? Not me. Imagine, you cheated me of my wife. 7 years, 14, after 14, you didn't want to release me, you let me work. And after working 20 years, you don't want to pay me. I wasted it. The prime of my life, I threw it away. But the father-in-law is kind of good. He said in 28, name your wage and I will give it. Now's the chance. Name my wage. He was continuing the line of discussion as if Jacob wanted to stay. But he had no intent. But name your wage. Sounds exciting. Sounds interesting. Right? Name your wage and I will pay it. 29. But he said to him, Jacob is speaking here. You yourself know how I have served you and how your cattle have fared with me. All this time, we see Jacob worked really hard. That's why the flock of Laban really prospered. He made no excuse in not working hard. He could have said, why will I work hard for him? He cheated me. Right? Anything earned by his work would be stashed away from me. I mean, why would I give my best? I don't get recognition. Why would I give my best? I'm forced to be here. I don't want to be here. But we don't hear any qualms from Jacob. We don't hear any complaint from Jacob. He was just excelling at the place where God has placed him. You will note, nowhere does Jacob wanted to become rich. He was just doing his best where he is. of doing his best, and clearly it did well. The flocks of Laban prospered. There was no returns. Verse 30. For you have little before I came, and it has increased to a multitude. And the Lord has blessed you wherever I turn. But now, what shall I provide for my own household also? Sir Laban, you asked me to name a price, right? But basically, caretaker shepherds, when you shepherd a flock, your payment is typically 10 to 20% of the flock. That's just, parang sa farms, di ba? You give a land, the farmer will get a portion, the owner. Here, it's about 10 to 20. You tell me your wage, you will give it to me. Yet, the bare legal practice of giving me 10 to 20% of that share, you don't even give it to me. Despite having multiplied abundantly your wealth. I mean, if God has blessed you so much because of my work, surely you can now do something for me and for my family. After all, my family is your daughter. I mean, hindi kakaiba. These are no different people. This is not an ordinary slave. My wife are your daughters. And my kids are your grandchildren. And yet you don't give us anything. And now you're asking me, name my price and I'll give it to you in order to enslave me. And as we saw, right? He worked another 6 years. And what did he say? He still didn't want to give him anything. After 20 years of work. 31. So he said, what shall I give you? Okay, what's the price? What shall I give you? Tell me the price. And Jacob said, you should not give me anything. If you do this one thing for me, I will again pasture and keep your flocks. Okay, Laban relented. Okay. I get your point, Jacob. So, what shall I give you? Tell me now the price. Apparently, Jacob withdraws and simply said, Laban, just give me a share na lang of future earnings. Starting from now to the future, just give me a share. Right? He says, let me pass through your entire flocks today, removing from there every speckled and spotted sheep, and every black one among the lambs, and spotted and speckled among the goats, and such shall be my wage. Okay, don't pay me anymore. But this is the agreement, if you want me to stay. I'll go to your flock, all the speckled and spotted sheep and goats, that will be my pay. Now, honestly, I haven't seen any speckled, a sheep with black. Have you seen that? In Saudi? No such thing, no? Rare, very rare. I think that's a very rare thing. I checked it. I was trying to look for a photo. I saw a sheep with rainbow colors. And they tell how to breed rainbow colors. But it's a rare thing. Normally sheep are white and goats are either brown or black. And the request of Jacob is all those spotted and speckled, that's mine. A very modest suggestion. I mean, Laban, given the shrewdness of Laban, he could hardly refuse that. Because nga, most sheep are white, and most goats are either black or dark brown. Multicolored. is extremely rare. Basically, Jacob's almost asking for nothing. Laban had the better end of the deal, which makes this thing really amazing. Verse 30. He says, "So my honesty will answer for me later when you come concerning my wages. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the lambs, if you found with me, will be considered stolen." If there's any purebred, not speckled or spotted, and it's in my flock, I have stole that. It's so easy for you to verify that. Safe. Very reasonable thing. I can check. Oh, why is there a all-white sheep there? You stole that. Jacob, yeah. If you find anything, that's stolen. So, Jacob had a clear intent. 34. Laban said, "Good. Let it be according to your word." Not bad. Not bad that you'll serve me again. These are the conditions. Today, with all the speckled and spotted will be yours. And if the speckled and spotted gives birth to speckled and spotted, it's yours too. That's your pay. Good. Probably way lower than the 20% that he should be getting. Right? Probably speckled and spotted is what, 1% or none? So, Laban agreed. He calculated. And he said, Jacob will not profit here. He will be my slave forever. It's no surprising Laban accepted. Verse 35. You'll see how dastardly Laban is. So he removed on that day the striped and spotted male goats and all the speckled and spotted female goats, everyone with white in it, and all the black ones among the sheep, and gave them into the care of his sons. What a demon! Jacob said, I'll visit the flock, I'll get them, those are mine. The one that I get today, and I'll breed them. If they breed speckled and spotted, that will be mine. Laban said, okay. Then what does he do? He runs to his flocks and gets all the speckled and spotted. And what does it say? 36. And he put a distance of 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flock. So that Jacob does not cheat. By the way, who cheated? At the start of the agreement, who was cheating already? Laban was cheating already. He has no intention talaga of making Jacob prosper. He had all the intention of keeping him enslaved forever. So what does he do? He gets all the speckled and spotted and travels 3 days distance in order that Jacob will not cheat on him. Maybe Jacob can get one and put it there. 3 days distance and gave it to his sons there. He was afraid that Jacob might pull a fast one on him, like what Jacob did to his father, Isaac. So he separated it. How bad can it get? Imagine you're Jacob. You enter the flock and all the sheep are white. What happened to the speckled and spotted? Diba we agreed earlier that my starting point is the one with speckled and spotted? But again, I noticed Jacob did not complain. He did not hire a lawyer. Right? Honestly, if I was there, I would probably really complain. This is a clean start. This is fresh. We just had a gentleman's agreement. It's my right. I mean, you're now trampling on me. What? You think you can fool me forever? I mean, those are the things that will come into my mind. I'm at the right here. He's at the wrong. I'll put you in place. I will steal at night. I mean, you can think of that. I mean, having that as your father-in-law, man, is hell. He has no compassion even to his own kids. Because remember, Jacob's wife is his kids. 37. Then Jacob took fresh rods of poplar and almond and plane trees and peeled the white stripes in them, exposing the white which was in the rod. He sets the rod which has been peeled in front of the flock in the gutter, even watering through, where the flocks came to drink. And they mated, and they came to drink. So the flocks mated by the rods, and the flocks brought forth striped, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated the lamb, and made the flocks face toward the stripe, and all the black in the flocks of Laban. And he put his own herds apart, and did not put them with Laban's flocks. Moreover, whenever the stronger of the flocks were mating, Jacob would place the rod in the sign of the flocks in the gutter, so that they might mate by the rods. Wow, you can see Jacob with a lot of rods running around, looking crazy. But to them, that was science. Sympathetic, they call it sympathetic magical practices. And that was commonly practiced during those ancient Near Eastern times. And they believed that the offspring is affected by what they sow. In the Filipino, we have a term for that, right? Naglilihe. Oh, saan ka linihe? Right? In fact, lihe has nothing. I think it's only the Filipino who has that thing, that concept. It's an excuse to eat. Right? Naglilihi ako sa mangga. Okay, ang anak mo mukhang mangga. Whatever. It's that thing. And that's the same thing. They believe that offsprings of Adam was affected by what they saw. But we know that's not true. But when the flocks was feeble, he did not put them in. So the feeble were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob. So Jacob was not doing it indiscriminately. He was doing it, methodically. Only the strong will be my flock. Verse 43. So the man became exceedingly prosperous and had a large flock, female and male servant, and camels and donkeys. At the end of the day, what happened? Jacob became exceedingly prosperous. If I was in his place, maybe I was just trying to do that just to have a couple of sheep. What's really the chances of having speckled? And it's like this. Your parents are Caucasian and the child is black. Oh, how can that be? Who's really the father here? Right? You don't expect that. The sheep was white, the father sheep was white, the mother sheep was white, and the child. What happened to the child? Unbelievable. I mean, all of that thing that Laban tried to do only exemplifies that it was God. Jacob's technique, we know for sure. Even if he fed them with what? Another belief. Maybe grass that's brown to make them speckled. The procedure of Jacob has no bearing. It was really God. Despite the odds. And honestly, what's the odds? It's not crossbreeding. At this crowd, get a black sheep and a white sheep. Okay, we have a 50-50 chance. But this is not crossbreeding. This is God breeding. It's only by God. Wealth comes from the Lord. God promised it. Guess what? It will happen. And he became prosperous despite his strategy. In fact, his strategy was irrelevant. It was irrelevant. God was working. And God was fulfilling his promise to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, that the descendants of Abraham will be numerous. The descendants of Jacob will be numerous. And that they will prosper. In fact, the Bible says, even the people that you serve will prosper. Exactly what happened to Laban. Laban prospered because God promised that. The people will prosper because of them. The promise of God was fulfilled in the life. God's plan cannot be thwarted. You cannot cheat God out of His plan. His plans will come to fruition. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 8, please. As I said, don't seek wealth, seek God. And in seeking God, you just do your best. In fact, when Jacob was serving, he was doing his best. He was not planning to become rich. He was just doing his best. Being obedient in the place that God has placed him. Don't tell God, God, I'll only be obedient once you place me in a spot wherein I can be a blessing to others. Di ba that the classic story is, Lord, let me hit the lottery. I'll donate 80% of the proceeds. And God said, okay, why don't we start here? Donate 80% of your money in the bank. That's different. You give me first the money. Yeah, you have the money. Donate it. I mean, we are not to seek wealth, we are to seek God. And if God decides to bless us financially, because there's nothing wrong to be blessed financially. But it doesn't mean that you are not blessed financially, that you're not blessed. Talagang, honestly, there's no connection talaga between being financially blessed and being blessed in your life. Sabi nga most people daw in Forbes, the family there are at a mess. I heard that. I forgot who told me that. Bob, hindi mo lang alam. Buti nga, hindi ko alam. Good thing I don't know. Financial blessing and being really blessed is no connection. But sometimes, God does plan to bless a person. And that's the plan of God. And this is the thing, nobody can thwart that. Not even a Laban in your life can thwart that. So what? Be content. Know that you're being loved and protected by God. That's the most important thing. If you know you're right in the middle of the will of God, nothing matters. But sometimes, yes, God will bless us. But we are to be on guard. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 7 to 18. It says, it's a warning. For the Lord your God is bringing you into the good land, a land of brooks, of waters, of fountains and springs, flowing forth in valleys and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines and fig trees, pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land where you will eat food without scarcity, in which you will not lack anything, a land whose stones are iron, and out of those hills you can dig copper. When you have eaten and are satisfied, you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land which he has given you. 11. Beware that you do not forget the Lord your God by not keeping his commandments and his ordinance and his statutes which I commanded you today. Otherwise, when you have eaten and are satisfied and have built good houses and lived in them, and when your herds and your flocks multiply, and your silver and gold multiply, and all that you have multiplies, then your heart will become proud, and you will forget the Lord your God, who brought you out from the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. He led you through this great and terrible wilderness, with a fiery serpent and scorpions, and thirsty ground where there were no waters. He brought you water for you out of the rock of flint. In the wilderness he fed you manna, which your fathers did not know, that he might humble you, and that he might test you to do good for you in the end. Otherwise, you may say in your heart, my power and the strength of my hand made this wealth. But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is he who is giving you power to make wealth, that he may confirm his covenant which he has sworn to your father as it is today. For those that God has blessed, that reminder is this: don't be arrogant. Don't think you're good. Don't think you're wealthy because of your own strength. God said the ability to make wealth is also from God. That we are to remember that. So life is not about seeking wealth. Life is about seeking God. Jacob never desired to be wealthy, but Jacob became wealthy. Last verse, 1 Kings please. 1 Kings chapter 3. First Kings chapter 3, verse 9 to 12. It says, so give your servants an understanding heart to judge your people, to discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours? And God is asking Solomon, ask something from me. And this is what Solomon requested. An understanding heart to judge your people, to discern between good and evil. For who is able to judge this great people of yours? Verse 10. It was pleasing in the sight of the Lord that Solomon has asked these things. God said to him, because you have asked these things and have not asked for yourself long life, nor have asked riches for yourself, nor have asked for the life of your enemies, but you have asked for yourself discernment and understand justice. Behold, I have done according to your word. Behold, I have given you wise and discerning heart, so that there have been no one like you before, nor shall one like you arise after you. And we saw that God also gave him what? Riches. The Bible is clear. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and all of these things shall be added unto you. A lot of people, we want to seek all of these things added unto us. That's why we seek God. As if God is not the main course. The main course is wealth. The main course is relationship. The main course is whatever you want to fill in that blank. And in order to get that, I need to please God. That's wrong. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. And God said, I'll take care of you. Don't seek wealth. Seek God. Thus says the Lord. Amen.